Hi, everybody, and welcome to day 5 of 50 days until I'm 50. So on this day 5, I thought we would talk about something that has plagued me for a while on the whole theory of never assume. I'm sure all of us have been through this process of where our moms or someone that has cared for us in our lives has said, never assume, never assume, never assume. But what if there was a part 2 to that? What if earlier in your life someone told you never assume and then gave you the definition of assumption and a little tool that you could use to help you better make assumptions? What if? So what I did, like I've done on the previous days, is I did a trusty little search and I came up and I found out the definition of assumption. It says, it is something or someone taken for granted or accepted as true without any proof. It's almost like the theory of taking a leap of faith. But what I thought was quite interesting was this whole thought process of proof. Now, in all these years, in these 50 years, I've never been told to never assume without any proof. So I think when I think of this definition and I think to myself, I'm saying, I don't think I've ever approached any situation and said, hold on, before I assume something, I better find proof. So what if everything that you were faced with and you knew you were about to make an assumption about it, you stopped and said, let me see if I can get some proof. And according to the definition, it could be anything that has to do with something or someone. So I definitely think, like my other suggestion the other day is, I think this is also another one that you're going to want to get a little sticky and put the definition of assumption next to it. Because what I started to do was I pondered on the past 49 years of my life, and I thought to myself, how much of it was an assumption, and I never took the time to obtain proof. I look back and I could think of so many different things in my life that I made assumptions, and had zero proof. When you go through this process, I started to understand that there were certain things in life that you can make a safe assumption. There are things in life where you can make a safe assumption and make a safe assumption that is almost 100% guarantee of what you assume is correct. So I'm going to give you an example of that. Every month you pay bills. So let's just say, like every other month you paid your electric bill. You come home one day and the power is out. Now, you know you paid the bill, so your assumption is safe because you can now understand that the reason the power is out is something that is out of your control. It is safe to make the assumption that that is why the power is out. Because you know in the back of your mind, you paid the bill. And you even running over to the file cabinet or signing onto your phone to check is assumption that is safe to make because you just verified through your bank account that, yeah, you did pay the bill. So those are assumptions that are safe to make. But when you look back on someone, when you take someone, like the people in your life, the relationships that you've had and so forth, how many times did you proceed with that person without zero proof? So how do you gain proof? Well, you got to ask the right questions. You got to look at the right things. But what we do sometimes, especially as women, is we get caught up. We get caught up on the what if and then turn around and never take the time to get the proof. I mean, I'm one of them. I went through this process in my entire a relationship that was a marriage, and I made tons of assumption and I had zero proof. I made assumption he would do this. I made assumption he would provide this, made assumption about that. But those conversations never took place. So I made all these assumptions with no proof. I mean, let's be honest and let's just be clear. It is very hard to get proof on everything that you're being faced with. However, if you are given the opportunity to say, I'm just going to take a moment, step back, ask some questions, even if these are questions of yourself, to help you understand and obtain proof. Now, that proof can come in many forms. I mean, it's a form of reassurance. It's proof from questions asked and those answers that were received. Those are ways in which you obtain proof so that you can better make an assumption. And don't get me wrong, there's going to be tons of things that you're going to go through life where you will not be able to get any proof. Proof just will not be made available. You will go out on a leap of faith. You will go from what's in your heart for you to make the assumption. But what if you were given this definition when your mom or someone said to you, never assume unless you have proof? That would have changed a whole lot in your life if they would have just used that one little part. I think about a lot of things because, you know, we grow through life and I made an assumption in my 49 years so far, soon to be 50, that I assumed that I would grow into what we call these stages of life. I assumed I would be married with a great husband, 2.5 kids and a dog and a white picket fence. You know, this was the envision I had for myself. But what if, when I was making that assumption, I obtained some proof? What if? I also made assumptions about my career. I made assumptions about even the physicality of my body. My girlfriend Danya and I in our 20s, we were very much into health and fitness. And when we were into that, bodies looked amazing. We went through this whole process. So when I was in my 20s, I was a bodybuilder. And I made a decision to go basically work and go to school full time. I made the assumption that the body to which I had would remain the same. I made that assumption. So I ate what I wanted, did what I wanted to do, assuming that that body would remain the same. But what if, when I was making that assumption, because it was instilled in me earlier on that I needed to make assumptions with proof, how much my body would have been different? I mean, because now at 49 years old, even though I've lost over 100 pounds, I still struggle. But if I didn't, what if I would have known what I know now about making an assumption where I would have obtained the proof? And the proof that would have been either given to me would either been me speaking with a doctor, me speaking with people that were in health and fitness, maybe possibly finding out what I needed to do to maintain that body back then. But I didn't do that. So when we look into these things, like people make decisions about education and go into it with an assumption. Go to school, I'm going to get a better job. That is an assumption we make. And it goes back to even with relationships. You know, we meet people and us, women, he's the one. What if he's the one? And we make this assumption without any proof. One of the things that my good friend Rock told me when, because Rock has been on the Bar podcast and has been one to be very truthful and honest. And one of the things that he said to me is that I made a lot of assumptions and the proof was there, but I chose to ignore it. And that is another thing too that you can take from this day 5 is that If the proof is there and you're choosing to ignore it, then you cannot be upset about the cause of what happened based on your assumption. And that's the thing, you got to be open to proof. You got to be willing to understand that the proof that you may receive may not be what you're looking for, but it is going to be the proof that you need. You know, a lot of us go through life wanting companionship, wanting love, wanting relationships. And whether those relationships are with friends or not, or, a mate or so forth. But sometimes you do have to obtain proof because the word friendship requires a lot of work. So I go through this day 5 with, laughing at the fact, and I reflected back on myself on this definition. And I said to myself, man, I spent 49 of my years making a lot of leaps of faith that, I just went into them blindly. We can't go through life living in regret, but we can go through life understanding the possibilities that what if every assumption I made was done with proof. So what I'm going to say to you on this day 5, what I would like for you to do is I would like for you to get another little sticky. And I want you to put the definition of assumption and put it around somewhere visually, maybe in a bathroom where you would see it on a daily basis so that you can go into your day with this theory to understand that any assumptions you are about to make today, you are to make them with some proof. It could just change the trajectory of everything that is going forward. It can help you make a lot of different decisions, and it can help you slow down on the assumptions you're about to make. All right, everybody. See you tomorrow for day 6.